Though, that discussion aside, we have to decide which map this matchup between Chaos and Mockit will be played on, so we'll head into our map veto, and we'll eliminate the 2 maps out of our 7 map pool that have been played last night, which is Bank and Coastline. And now we get to go with the rest. Oregon will be the first one removed, Villa afterwards by Mockit. So
Surprise, surprise.
yeah, Border will be the next one. We'll see that was Club and Consulate, and we'll get to see Clubhouse again. And this is interesting because Chaos played on this wasn't too successful, to say the least. Very predictable.
Now, they weren't successful here. I'm personally happy to see Clubhouse played. It's always nice to see the development that we're going to have here. Technically new map, still even halfway through the season. We have yet to see everything explored here. And I also want to see how Mockit's going to fare. But, this ban phase, it's so much shorter than it used to be. So there's a lot less going into it than what we had in the past. But at the same time, still no surprises. I mean, when it comes to the map pool, also smaller. So there's a lot less possibility for any potential upsets or surprises in that way. The only real map that we have that can catch you off guard is the Villa.
Yeah, and even then, I think by this point, halfway in and coming into the Paris Major, teams have kind of started to figure it out. And really looking at the layout of the map itself, it's actually pretty user-friendly.
Yeah, and if I'm looking at this match, I'm not saying that the map's going to favor either team, because the truth is we've only seen one of them play on this map so far, and we're going to have to wait and find out.
Yeah, I mean, we did see a bit of them at DreamHack Valencia. We'll talk about that in just a second, but we do have our community vote, which puts Mockit in the 56%. So they are at the helm, and I agree with that, honestly. And it's not just because of how Mockit have been playing in the past few playdays. It's because Chaos on Clubhouse itself and the way that they played it at DreamHack or in that one match that they've had in Pro League, very predictable. Let's push Garage with our shield. Let's always play Monty. When they changed off of that yesterday, they played much better.
Yeah, and we'll see how those things add up into this match, but we're just going to load in. It's Clubhouse yet again, Chaos versus Mockit, and we will have Chaos starting on defense, Mockit starting on attack, and yeah, always going to be room for more development here on Clubhouse, and I'm sure we'll see that shine through.
Yeah, we'll start off our operator ban phase with Chaos. Of course, they're playing on the defense, as you mentioned, so they start off with the first ban attackers. And I wonder if it's just going to go for a Habana ban. Habana or Lion. Both of them have been consistent.
Either one, to be honest. You got those are your mainline disruption operators. Click button, upset, defense. And then you could also be some hard destructions. We've seen a lot of... you already said it, Habana.
Ooh.
We've also seen Dokabi as the... as one of the mainstays disruption operators that's been seeing more bans as of late. And here you go.
This might be a ban directed more towards the anti-roam play, of course, of Mockit. So Chaos might be planning something a bit more flexible on the defense. Maybe we'll get to see that later on, as Mockit will have the ability to go for this second ban. We haven't had a match on Clubhouse with no hard destruction ban, so we'll see if the second one will be that or Lion. And no, it'll be Glass.
Interesting. So Disruptor and, another Disruptor. That's interesting to see. You don't often, like you said, I don't think we've seen a match without a ban of a hard Destructor yet.
On Clubhouse especially, no.
So it is a bit of an oddity, but it's not as if either of these bans are surprising, and nor is the Mira ban from Millennium, or Mockit rather.
Okay, well, Mira is going to get banned here. I assume it's going to be either Echo or Maestro. Did I just assume?
There you go.
Right, it is Echo.
Surprise, surprise. So the entire ban phase, really nothing too abnormal. The most is that Dokabi ban, but makes a lot of sense. She's probably one of the most powerful attack operators right now, and she does see a lot of play.
Yeah, she's pretty good at hunting all those defenders, the roamers especially. And also when it comes to attacking on the site, usually teams will have at least one call to play with, and they can just play off of audio information to see where their opponents are hiding.
There's a lot to be said about just being able to push in anywhere you want and knowing exactly where your targets are.
I think it's a pretty good ability, to
Oh,
say the
yeah.
least. She now actually has flashbangs as well, not just smoke. So
You could
we've
choose.
yet to see, you know, the flashbangs being used by her, but
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't think many teams are going to rotate into flashbangs off of smokes, but it's
no.
maybe, right? It's possible. I can imagine a flashbang SMG-12 Dokabi rushing into your face being exceedingly frightening.
I just want to curl up in the fetal position at this point. This is very scary, Michael.
Yeah, no, it can be difficult to deal with some of the disruption that the attackers can put out, and that's why you have operators like Legion and Frost in smoke and Maestro, every defender except for Jaeger in this instance.
Yeah, all of them are really there to slow down the opponents, and we'll see. Part of the setup here is taking control of Cash Room, using it to slow down the attackers for as long as possible. Now, the office has been opened up, so the defenders will have a line of sight to look down into construction to deal with it. The hatch is open, so you can contest from below or check C4s, which is something we've seen. However, C4s are not available here, but the front and even the side of the balcony here leading into the cash room will be reinforced. And interestingly enough, we've got 2 hard destructors. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I think that's a really solid call from Mockit on Clubhouse. No matter where you're going to go here, you want to have ample opportunity to open up reinforced walls. And I'm sure we'll see them do just that as the round plays out. Of course, the main focus usually is onto that server wall when attacking cache, but this is a bit of a distracting defense. Or we're seeing, in fact, a master first hold, which is a kind of abnormal, but it's becoming more mainstay as of late.
Yeah.
The top 2 or the 2 top floor defenses are, I think, what most teams prefer in this meta.
Oh, see, Renewal's even peeking out. Voy is so low on health here. The information is going to get relayed as Crips will get 2. That's Panics and Alive taken out on their move in. And Crips just holding on the eastern stairs. Very difficult to push any defender out of there, especially when there's a second angle that can be contested by the Maestro at any point in time.
So, a great start so far for Chaos. They only have to deal with 2 attackers and 1 on 50 HP. 3 total, but you've got a weakened Thermite, so anything he tries to open up is going to be at risk. And you can see that because of this, Chaos are playing very aggressively. They're going to maintain their lead wherever possible. Crip's still playing on the cache stairs, and he actually just came off the angle at the worst possible moment, allowing Ravon to rotate into server without being punished. He's going to be laying down some EMPs to disable any potential traps, and we'll get a nice headshot on 2 Renewals. Well placed indeed. As he goes for the secondary challenge onto Crips, he's not going to be able to find those shots. They're a little bit more difficult. The 3-speed playing the tight angle is probably going to have ample opportunity to fall off whenever he pleases.
Yeah, it's definitely not an angle that you can play effectively, and Crips, very smart, will just fall back down as, again, he's got the stairs to play off of and rotate into the other side of the map, possibly contest from the bedroom, and secretly peeking right into Revan is pretty much gives him the free kill here on the Frost. The Traps have not been able to do much just yet, but I assume there is something still set in and around that bedroom. The Habana will open up a roadway into the back there of the office as enemy will move in. There's so little time on the clock left, though. That's 10 seconds in. Revan will have an extra gas nade to deal with. The Snookin gets the spray, and that's the goo mine that gives information for Crips, who lands the last 2 kills to make it a 4K at the end of the very first round. Chaos with a masterful defense.
So, despite the attempt by Ravon and Mockit as a whole, it just wasn't enough, thanks to, as you say, masterful hold on Master by one specific player. Now, that was a little bit different than how we usually see those rounds play out. We saw some unreinforced walls, especially over by Office, and it seemed like the defenders were trying to use it aggressively to deny control, but they ended up working against them and allowing extension of control for the attackers. Now, it may have been the reason they left those walls unreinforced was actually specifically because we don't have any hard breacher bans, and that's, I guess, good reasoning. If they're going to bring both, you may as well not put anything in their way that they're going to be able to get past easily. You could make it more difficult, again, by opening that up and playing it aggressively like they did. And it actually worked out in the defense's favor, considering that's what Mockit saw. They saw an opportunity, push through the office wall, take control of office, and then you have crossfire for the site. And it worked out against them because it ended up causing them all to die when they went for the push.
Yeah, it's poor time management combined with that. The problem is they were so low on manpower, Mockit that is, that there was just not enough time to open these things that require a decent chunk of technical play. And obviously, Cripps' hold on the stairs definitely slowed down the attackers more than.
So, I feel like we've been saying poor time management the whole season,
yeah,
but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, that's when we see an attack come down to the last just couple, inching seconds of the round, then yeah, that's poor time management. And it's odd how frequently it's been happening. And the only thing I can really think to attribute it to is, twofold. Actually, the addition of those two defensive operators, the nerf of the attack operators that we saw being so powerful in previous seasons, of course, that being mostly Lion, and then you add on top of that an entirely new format and structure to this season. So it's been a huge shift for a lot of teams, and it causes the attackers a little bit of grief as they have to start rethinking how they do everything. Meanwhile, on defense, it's a lot simpler to play on defense. You're talking about waiting a lot of the time. You got to set yourself up properly, and there are X factors like those roamers that are not exact. Oh, what a nade from Panics! Perfectly placed.
Where's the EDS? Was it burned off before they continued in? Panics getting shots even from the outside as a run out from Legion secretly here. Just comes on up and gets the kill, and that's now the Thermite on the floor. He has opened up the wall, but Renewals does a ton of damage. Now you see Mockit really unsure of what's happening because they're trying to remaneuver to contest those defenders, and Snookin finds a beautiful headshot on Alive.
Well placed indeed. Just a narrow miss from Alive. Seemed like he had the angle but could not hit the shot. Possibly the wrong optic for the job in that case. Now, Mockit have, as you say, the control. They've opened up the lanes they want to open up. They seem, regardless of that fact, very much locked out of the site. A very stalwart defense being established by Chaos. And a soft wall in the workshop could actually allow Panics a nice burst of aggression onto any players inside of A.
They're trying to combo it here correctly with the drone from Revan. Cripps, though, in the meantime, will get one on enemy. You see Panics and Revan getting tagged quite low as well. Grenades will get thrown in, but Snookin will just jump right in and land, get the 2 kills using the Buck's hole to his advantage.
What a play there from Snookin, realizing he has an opportunity and just seizing it.
That is, that's very much calculated aggression. Even if he goes down there, they would still have a huge manpower advantage. There would only be faced with one player to try push in one angle. That would be easy enough to hold. Yeah, and that was a really good read and understanding where the Buck was most specifically. His positioning there on the crosshair placement was just, hey, I know exactly where you're going to go after you open this wall because there's only one safe space to be. And you know why? In that bedroom, there was a Maestro camera. The evil eye and the call out, the teamwork from Chaos, seemingly. And the ability to clamp down on that hold despite losing so much control early on. I think they got a little bit caught off guard, and by they I mean Chaos, in the early round when they lost that server wall so fast. The reason that the ADSs were cleared out were the Thatchers, the Thatcher EMPs likely on the roof. They will go through, I think, deep enough to get most of those Jaeger devices. And yeah, it definitely allowed for the nade, the follow-up thermite charge, but from there, Chaos just started fragging out. Sometimes it's just peeking into your opportunities, and they certainly did that. We'll see now a comeback onto the church. This is the first time we get to see it today. It's definitely fallen down to that second, more third site you'll be seeing. with the bar really, you mentioned this a couple days ago, not really being something people would go for.
I think it's, and I mentioned this as well, I don't think it's a site people want to explore.
Especially when you have 3 others that are much better.
Yeah, it's so much more complicated than most of the other sites from what we've seen so far, and it's just not it's not the same as it used to be. I mean, Cash and Master as well as Basement are all somewhat similar. There's huge sweeping changes across the board on all of them, but they're still somewhat similar. On the bar, it's just a different site, and it doesn't seem like it's gotten much better. So very basic take here so far for Mockit. They're just going in, opening up the drop downs, starting to establish control. And normally on Clubhouse, in the previous build of this map, you would see the attackers drone out for all of the roamers before they made their push. But now in this version, there's too much to drone out. And if you choose to try and clear the entire map, it's just going to take too long. Because of this, we do have a roamer. That's roaming. Crips, of course, on Alibi is going to be able to, at any moment, get an advantageous position on his opponents. Renewals as well in Master. So you've got a dual Italian roam right now that is very powerful by itself on the top floor. And it seems like Mockit is just choosing to ignore it, which is dangerous. But could give them enough time for the proper execute.
Yeah, see the holes that are pre-opened there by the Maestro, this 410. I wonder why those are in place in the stage. Panics and Alive will try to move in from back of blue, the storage. Secretly will line himself up though, as he might just be, oh no, Panics spots the Vigil in the back, and the grenade, it bounces right on top of the generator. Secretly trying to open up a punch hole. Panics will take him out.
So, despite the poorly placed nade and the bad timing there from Panics, he will hit the shot as he typically does once eventually presented with the opportunity. A little bit of spray pre-fire through that blue wall, just trying to negate any potential pressure that could easily be applied to he and his team as they attempt to push this blue generator. The rest of Mockit seems very much just focused on blue, which is dangerous. It's a very much just a single lane once you get to the actual point. And there is one X factor, there's that thermite inside of dirt, but it's not a whole lot to work with. However, Voy is making it go in his favor as he gets Snukin. Red Groove and Renewals will refrag back onto Panics and Alive. A 3v3 now make that 3v2 as Crips from above. That X Factor, the roamer, will get one. Enemy immediately refrags that though. He has been lit up and there's only 14 seconds left to go. Mockit finally gonna have to go for that push. Enemy just going to narrowly lose the fight against Red Groove before Voy does get a little bit of damage and a down onto Renewals. He will not be able to lock it out. Red Groove in the great position of blue will get the round for Chaos. So 3 in a row for the defense.
Beautiful play there by Red Groove to pretty much nail every single angle humanly possible. And, well, the pick in the main hallway by the Maestro was definitely important in that one. It's map is somehow turning very much in the favor of this defense of Chaos, but again, we'll get to see how Chaos play out in the second half once they are on the attack. But you look at this, sure, Dokkaebi is a big part of the attackers in this current metagame, but there's Thatcher available and 2 hard destructors that are available at the same time. Does this spell more of a defender advantage? Because for me, I don't really see that it does, especially with that Echo and Miravan.
I don't want to say outright yes, but there's also just in general we could look at Clubhouse in this way, and I think this is reasonable. It's a very much defender's favorite map. I've talked to a number of teams recently who have said just the same thing, and we have a lot of reference points for this. I mean, the Rogue Noble match is a great one.
Yeah.
5 defensive wins in a row for Rogue. Go to the second half, 4 defensive wins in a row for Noble, and then the very first attack win in the very last round for Rogue, allowing them the 6-4 win. And we've been seeing a similar story on most matches where Clubhouse is played a whole lot of defensive favored rounds. So it's possible, it's just the simple fact that we have yet to see this map be fully understood.
10 seconds left.
It's also possible that the rework has landed it as a defensive favor. I mean, a big part of it as well, and this is huge, there is too much to drone now. I talked about it earlier when defending the basement. You saw there were 2 roamers upstairs. That's because they know they can get away with it when you don't have to deal with a dedicated drone clear from the attackers. In the previous iteration of Clubhouse, it was so easy to hunt the roamers. Now it's pretty much impossible. There's just too much for them to use.
And that's why that ban on the Dokkaebi really plays into it, because with Dokkaebi you have the audio cue.
Yeah.
And that's why you see the Lion being played here by enemy, because they realize we're having problems with these roamers. Maybe we'd see a Jackal as well to combo, but if it were up to Mockit, I would have definitely seen a Dokkaebi plus Lion combo to deal with all of this very easily.
Oh, no, I definitely agree. They've got a really good lineup for what they have right now, and I think Alive would still be playing Ashe, but if I could replace Ashe with the Dokkaebi right now, oh boy, that'd be fantastic.
Very much the case. Enemy has had some pretty good success on Dokkaebi as well.
Absolutely. So, Mockit pushing their way into construction already, pretty fast into the round. Voy does not seem to be contested by anybody as he opened up that side wall. You could see they're taking it slow though. Now they have the control. They're not gonna go and make a play that will cause them to lose man advantage, or just at least even man count rather.
The Ashe trying to find the angle there on the side of the smoke. Can't find Snookin. Is on by the edge.
Speaking of.
Yeah, Snookin will get the shot back though on the Thatcher.
So that lack of aggression turning out to not really work too well for Mockit. You can see Snookin is aware of what he's challenging and very much able to get the job done. Now, we've kind of deceptively already seen a minute transpire after that first minute where the attackers used to get control of construction. Alive gonna get the first kill for his team on Secretly. Panics follows up on the red group. Easy office control, interestingly, for Mockit, seemingly forfeited by Chaos. But Renewals from behind in cash will actually get Panics on a very long angle. Impressively done, and that will further stall out this attack.
That's the problem with not taking control of cash. You leave your flank open to all of these shenanigans, and now Live is forced back. Enemy's on his own in the office, but Voy finally gets the kill on Renewals. It's now a 2v3, but look at the amount of damage that has been done to Mockit. Enemy droning in at 30 seconds left on the clock. Gas canisters will get thrown in as Voy is on the sliver. Crips is right behind the instant they come into construction. If they do, all get shot down. Crips will just walk in bit by bit. Snookin, though, pushes in to get the kill on enemy. 2 left alive. If there's a gas canister, both will be down, and Alive is out. Last alive now in a 1v1 is Voy versus Crips. Voy will have to try to stick the plan here in the gym as Crips realizes what's going on. He'll move back into the bedroom, and does he have the angle? He should have it here, and the Thermite should be downed. Right? There you go. Hello. Bye-bye. Crips will win out the round for Chaos 4-0, and that clear, well, the fact that there was no roam clear in cash room comes back to bite Mockit again.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I can't fault them for it. I can't objectively sit here and go, you are in the wrong because you're not clearing cash. Now, it's the only real way to attack aside from opening up the jacuzzi balcony and then pressuring into the B site. But it's so incredibly difficult. When we see teams commit themselves to clearing out the cash room, server room, 2 minutes minimal to get that done. And from there, you then have to assault onto a very difficult hold of the actual master office area. Now, there's a couple things. If you get office control, you would give yourself a crossfire through the hallway into the site with anyone pushing from construction doorway. But that crossfire is kind of not that great. None of the real anchor positions are in that zone. So office is not a great thing to take. More importantly, if you want to use that crossfire, you have to peek into the doorway of office. There isn't a lot of room to breathe there. Also, if you want to come out of office, you have to enter into the hallway on a multiple 90-degree angles that are just not easy to deal with. It's the whole push into master is a headache, and it all starts with cash. And while right now you have to clear cash, there's gotta be another way to deal with that, because if there isn't, we're gonna see Master, I think, in the future become the absolute #1 site on this map. I think when the rework came out, everyone was saying Cache, 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 and I agree with that. Cache is super great as a site, but if you can defend Cache and Master, and there's no way for a team to get around that, attacking 2 bomb sites in 1 round, or, you know, result in you've got the Wrath of the Roamers always behind you, then yeah, I mean, Master's it's a pretty good site.
Yeah, even Void not happy with that Dokkaebi ban, which again would have been a great help. I mean,
that's what he's thinking.
They still had that second exothermic charge to use. Now, I am behind you with the fact that yes, Office is not that great of a position to hold, but they had control of it at some point in the map as Panics just went in and took control of it. There was the Maestro always playing from behind them as well, and they just never did anything about it.
Every time we've seen Mockit get into Office, it's worked against them, and they did it both Master rounds.
Yes.
Because there's always someone ready to flank them, and the confrontation at the front, by Office doorway, they can never get past that. Now, Panics, speaking of, gonna be the first one to be downed in the beginning of the round. Now, it's worth reminding you, if you're not familiar with Pro League, you don't have any point notifiers in this format, so if a defender had downed Panics there, he might not be aware of it, especially if it was an odd angle.
Yeah, you don't get, you know, enemy downed or
plus
you
50 points.
Yeah, you don't get any of that because that's Pro League settings. So all tournaments are played with this, and there you go. The ADSs that before were the bane of Red Groove's existence will get taken out, and that's now one piece of the puzzle removed. But there are no grenades to follow it up from Mockit.
So it's going to have to be alive with the Ash charges to destroy just the batteries. He could actually get the kill on Red Groove, considering how lit he is, but it's going to be difficult. He'll use the first Ash charge to further the goals of the attackers. Might have gotten the batteries. Looks like yes, indeed it has, but it hasn't scared away the defenders entirely, and there still might be a bandit in a position to deny. Run out from secretly shut down by enemy. A nice use of the impact there to clear the Claymore as well as open the doorway, but it's just not enough when your opponents are ready to anticipate that.
We're very much ready to receive, and you see the E1D will get used up here to slow down the defenders. It's a 4 versus 4 as Chaos are looking for that 5th round on the board. Renewals, though, finds the angle on a Void and takes down the Thermite after his job is done. The Fuser is going to be on the floor, so information, of course, will get relayed back to the defenders. The angle is just going to get perfectly held by the Maestro. Alive somehow, though, sneaking onto the site. Might be able to get kills off of him. No, snooking from the back. The Scripps gets one on Ravon and Red Groove with the last one. It's a good half with a 5-0 every single round. Very much in the hand of Chaos.
So, let's talk about that. We got a 5-0 here. We've seen this before.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, or the biggest one again, is the match I referenced earlier. It's the Rogue Noble match. 5 defensive wins for Rogue, then 4 defensive wins in a row for Noble, and then the last round was the only attacking victory. And it was on Clubhouse. Now, I'm not at all surprised with what we just witnessed, and I'm kind of do expect it to now repeat itself on this second half, but now in favor of Mockit. And it could very well be that they're discouraged after a 5-0, that they're feeling they can't make this comeback happen, but it's not that far, you know, from the truth that this is a very heavily defensive favored map right now, as it stands. You know, I talked about it earlier, that Master defense especially. How do you really take Master effectively when you can't, aside from clearing cache? If the only other way to that I can think of is to push in through the Jacuzzi balcony and the B windows. Even then you're slightly exposed to cache, but that's the only workaround, and that's nearly impossible right now because you don't even need to bandit trick that wall. You just impact it right above, and it's a pretty much guaranteed clear of any hard destruction on it.
Honestly, more often than not, we've been seeing gym bedroom work out with a push on the gym.
Yeah, and that's
on the bedroom.
And so that's the secondary take we were talking about just now. You open up this wall here, you push in through the gym window, and you know, despite the lack of the drop we used to see, that's a much easier take. And I think the reason being is the attackers feel less constricted for time when they're not spending all of it clearing out cache.
Yep, there's multiple levels of defense if you're on that side. You have the servers, you have cash, you have construction, you have the office, and then finally you get to the bedroom, and even then, the whole thing is open wide for the defenders.
So, here in this round, interestingly, Mockit will go to the basement first, which is different. I mean, the basement's still a very viable bomb site. In fact, a super comfortable bomb site. It doesn't have as many layers, but it certainly does have its own, formula of defense. So a big part of that, of course, is still the roam game. An enemy will highlight that. Perfect timing with a kill onto Renewals, the soft destructor for Chaos. The buck gone. It's going to be a little bit harder to open up some certain vertical areas, like, for example, kitchen now moving forward. Secretly trying to pressure on Jacuzzi balcony, and he actually just going to fall off.
Red Groove continuing in with the drone as Secretly just takes control of the western hallway. The wall has not been reinforced in the bar. They do have a castle barricade, so you can tell Mockit are pressuring quite a bit on making sure that their rotations back onto the set are doable. You see it, both castle barricades being placed to play against.
Oh, this is dangerous for Secretly. He's got the information, and he will land the headshot onto Panix. Not sure what Panix was thinking there, to be honest. Crips follows up with a kill onto Enemy, so it's starting to fall apart for Mockit. Their roam is well set up, but poorly executed right now, and Chaos will capitalize.
Yeah, the combo of the Ashe and the Zofia definitely did help out Chaos here to take down all of those soft walls, and you see the bathroom will get cleared. Secretly has control, and there's nobody still top stairs. As Mockit realizes what's going on, they fall back onto the site to play as turtle as possible. And you see, they were holding on to this bar as hard as they could.
See, this is what we were talking about earlier. When we're defending, when you are defending Master, the attackers have to clear cache, right? And minimal, that takes them 2 minutes. It's the same in this case. The attackers have the man advantage, but it's cost them one player, and 2 minutes, and then some, as they start their push onto the actual bottom bomb site. Looks like the impacts were successful, possibly in getting one of the exothermic charges there on the kitchen drop. Yes, indeed, one impact grenade has been used by Ravon, the Legion. So that is going to force Chaos to start their push elsewhere. They're going to open up the stock drop down because it cannot be denied but via impact through the floor. And they're going to start pushing through both lanes of blue. Ravon will get snooken though. So good catch of the rotation, and inside of blue, Alive is able to down one player. Only 10 seconds left in this 2 versus 3 as Alive finishes off Secretly as an immediately refragged. Red Group is planting. What? He has been denied by Void, and so little time here for Chaos. They will lose their very first round, putting it into 5-1, still in their favor.
And that was a close one there at the end with the Zofia. So if I'm Mockit, I gotta be very careful. But the fact that they're able to win it out, being a man down and losing their roamers with technically a lot more time left on the clock for Chaos, it seems just like Chaos did not want to play with that advantage and actually push it to the end.
And carrying on the story we've been telling throughout this entire match, defensive favored. No, that's just kind of how Clubhouse is right now. I mean, it was a good read there by Chaos.
Yeah.
They realized we cannot get through kitchen drop. This push is not viable. It's a non-starter. Let's start pushing over and going for a different lane. They picked the right lane, in my opinion, going for blue, the one that least requires, direct destruction. You can open up that blue drop down, but it's not even as useful as just pushing from the lanes. And then they did just that. They pushed in from those lanes. They started applying pressure to blue. Just wasn't enough time because of how much they had to invest in the roam clear.
CCTV cache room with no band.
Defenders, protect your
What?
bombs from being
Oh.
defused by
CCTV cache room with no
Oh,
band. Only a mute.
they have the mute, but yeah, that's...
They 6-pick off of
Wait a
the
minute.
bandit for
What?
enemy to play the Valkyrie.
They haven't reinforced the walls yet. I mean, he didn't put it close enough where it will be destroyed, but still, I mean, either way,
Interesting.
interesting, yeah. So I get the mute pick. That makes a lot of sense. It's going to be very helpful in slowing down your opponents. You can also, if you bring the mute, you can put him in the garage, and it's really hard to take garage with a mute. Let me tell you from experience, that is a difficult take. You put mute jammers on each of the doorways and on both of the garage panels. Oh, it's a headache. But then you also have to account for the server wall.
And the bandit.
And you need to actively do it too, because it's so easy for the attackers to deny anything that's placed on that wall. One grenade, one thatcher, as you can see from Snookin right now, or anything really, from a below, from the window adjacent to the wall. Like, there are so many choices for the attackers to get a singular mute jammer.
Yeah, the thing is, Europe as a region has played a lot of Bandit and Mute at the same time for a very good reason. We saw that in Penta versus IDK. The fact that Penta was able to bring both of those operators allowed them to move in Jonas, who's playing on the Bandit, from one wall to the other one as they timed the Bandit tricks for each and every single position.
So this operator selection from Mockit, possibly the beginning of the end, but they are still defending, and you can make a little bit of a misstep every here and there and get away with it on this map. Now, oh, Ravon with the timing! When you try to pull out the goo mine from your foot, you do stick your head up, and Renewals gave himself away. But Ravon at the time was going for the impact. Regardless, he will get a shot onto Secretly, giving his team the man advantage. So he's been efficiently roaming so far in Construction Master area and giving his team a distinct advantage already.
Yeah, that's the first thermite charge that'll open up the entryway here into the garage. And realizing that there's no bandit, they don't really have to be worrying about any trickery, so they'll only leave one EMP on the Thatcher, and now they lose it. Enemy instantly getting the shot onto Snookin. Advantage heavily into Mockit here.
An absolutely disgusting angle through the garage. Renewal's going to follow that up, though, with a kill onto Panics. And it looks like Chaos is still in this round, but still favoring the defense. Valkyrie inside of stock, playing an odd position and just waiting for the pressure, allowing Crips for a pretty easy kill. It looks like actually a lot of the Mockit players are off-site. There is no one holding the cache stairs, and the Zofia is going to be aware of that given the lack of proximity detonation from the dual grenade launcher. You can see the defenders are starting to rotate and realize that they need to keep pressure up there, but Crips has got the control. It's too late. This position is extremely powerful if Crips can maintain it. He has a finger on the button of this defense right now, and as Red Groove opens up the server wall, the pressure is going to continue to mount.
Now Renewals here will open up the wall into server from garage, and Schmott Mine, well, that was an impact that will come in, but unfortunately Ravon will be able to use that against Crips. There's 12 seconds on the clock. The diffuser is in the hands of Red Groove. He'll have to walk in to get this diffuse set, but Alive is ready for him as he jumps on out, gets one, and Ravon with the second on to Renewals. Now that's Mockit to take yet another round, making it more and more difficult. As you can tell, there's a bit of a skewed advantage to that defensive side. We head to round number 8. One thing to highlight, though, is that no matter what, this can only be a tie. So Chaos or Mockit can only have 1 point at the end of this day.
If Chaos doesn't win any more rounds.
Yes. The only way for Mockit, that is.
Yeah.
The only way for them to actually get anything out of it after their 3-day win streak is to tie it and get 1 point. So no matter what, that streak is broken.
So, a couple things to note from that round. We had mistakes on both sides.
Yeah.
First of all, I do have to agree with you. I think the operator selection is questionable at best. It did work out for them in the end, of course. But as I stated, I think on a defensive side, you have a lot of flexibility to make those mistakes. For the attackers, the mistakes that were made were a couple things. I mean, for example, Crips, you know, he had control of those cache stairs. He did not push the issue. He had the control, he didn't use it at all. He was too preoccupied with maintaining the position, and what we really needed to see there was a cut off from the Zofia. We needed him to apply the pressure, allowing his teammates to push into server and get that diffuse plant. But the timing was poor. The teamwork was not there, and the actual fragging power and individual skill at the top of those cache stairs just did not shine through. Again, because too preoccupied with the utility. That was the only way they were going to be able to win out that round, I think, and they just let it slide away.
Yeah, he could have held off the Mute from rotating back into the site. The kill on the smoke would have been easier to deal with as well, but then again, maybe the lack of information there was really the big problem at the end of the round. you know, you lose the players and you don't have enough manpower to really put those drones into action. But here, again, we'll have the defense on the bedroom, and Mockit are only bringing the mute.
So I think it's a little bit more forgivable on master defense than it is on cash defense, because there's a less of a specific need, like immediate need. It's the same exact need, right? You have to hold those walls in cash, but you don't have to hold those walls in cash.
But this is the thing now. What if I'm Chaos, I look at this like, they only have a mute. We have a Thatcher and a Thermite. Why don't we try to push on the other side from the Jacuzzi?
They do have, of course, those impacts from the Legion, which you can't really. I imagine it's. No, it can't be possible. I don't think that. I've never seen it happen, and it wouldn't. It's not electronic, so the impacts aren't going to be hit by the Thatchers. But yeah, so that would incredible. It would require impeccable timing, even if it were possible. But yeah, I guess yeah. The Jacuzzi wall is a non-starter because it's just you can't contest it as an attacker unless you get lucky. Really, it comes down to the defenders making a huge mistake, I think, as we discussed earlier. But this is interesting for me. Chaos are clearing from server and cache now, and this is the first time we've actually seen this onto a master hold. I think like a real dedicated push into the server room. It's not working out so far for Chaos. Secretly's actually taking some damage. Crypts is gonna get alive, but Secretly, what a shot onto Voy, and oh wow, the Jaeger has fallen off of the stairs, and he's going to push down where he potentially could have refragged there. I'm not sure what's going on. There's also only one anchor at this moment. If the attack realizes this and chooses to push the site, Ravon is going to be up against a real threat.
And that is a huge kill now on the mute, and especially that smoke. The Claymore will get set as they walk right into Smokin. What is this?
I am not sure what's going on right now, Gassan, and it looks like it's going to get even worse for the defense as Ravon eats a lot of bullets. There's still plenty of time here. Renewals will get panics, leaving just Ravon in a tricky situation, and Renewals with the double kill following the EE1D. A complete and utter throw there in the final round. Mockit playing some really odd positions and playing them even more confusingly. I don't know much what to say.
Yeah, I have to question the decision-making there at the end. And really, another thing that really should be doing a lot more of is really praising Chaos for their first victory in Pro League. So
well done indeed.
Yeah, congratulations, Chaos, on the win. They finally put that three-pointer on the board, and not a moment too soon. It's day number 7 of EU Pro League, and we're left on a pretty big cliffhanger for the Swedes.
I'm just a little bit. I'm very much confused about what we just witnessed in that last round. The way that the defense was set up, they were doing the typical, hold cash stairs, and then have the rest of your defenders prioritizing the site. Now, one of those site players got picked off just like that, right off the bat in the beginning of the round. One of the roamers inside of cash also got picked off.